There's so much more reward for reading the Qur'an with the understanding. Why is it, or what are the excuses given by Muslims, multitudes of Muslims, for not taking your advice and reading it with understanding?
There are many excuses given by the common Muslim for not reading the Quran with understanding. And the most common is that we don't understand Arabic as a language. As you may be aware, that more than 1/5 of the world population, more than 20% of the world population, about 1.5 billion out of the 6.3 billion people in the world, they are Muslims. But more than 80% don't understand Arabic as a language. 15% of the Muslim population approximately, they're Arabs, and a few non-Arabs know Arabic as a language. So more than 80% of the Muslims, they don't understand Arabic as a language. So the most common excuse is, we don't know Arabic as a language. Now, every human being knows at least 2 or 3 languages. Some know 4, some know 5, some are linguists. But when a child is born, he does not know any language. But he learns the mother tongue to converse with the family members. He learns the language of the locality so that he can converse with the friends. He learns the language in which he is educated. Every human being knows at least 2 or 3 languages. Isn't it important that we should know the language in which the last and final guidance, revelation, was given by our Creator Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Many people say that it's difficult to learn a language when we are old, but age is never a barrier for any good work. And that reminds me of the example of Dr. Maurice Bucaille. Dr. Maurice Bucaille, he was a French, and he was given the French Academy Award in the field of medicine, and he was selected for studying the mummy of Manapta that was found in the Valley of Kings. And when he went to Egypt while doing his research, one of the Muslims said, it's nothing great that he found the body. It's already mentioned in the Qur'an, in Surah Yunus, chapter number 10, verse number 92, that Almighty God will save the body of the Pharaoh as a sign for posterity. So he was shocked that how could this book, which is so old, mention about things which we have come to recently, that the body of the Pharaoh will be saved. So that made him read the translation of the Qur'an. After reading the translation of the Qur'an, he was so impressed with the Qur'an, he wanted to understand Qur'an directly in Arabic. So he learned Arabic as a language at the age of 50. Imagine being a non-Muslim, learning Arabic as a language to understand the Qur'an better, and then he writes the book, the Bible, the Qur'an, and science, which is a very famous book. So age is never a barrier for a person to learn a new language, but it's not possible that all of us will be as enthusiastic as Dr. Maurice Bucaille. According to Abdul Majid Daryabadi, he says, the Qur'an is the most untranslatable book in the world. It is the most difficult book to translate because the language of the Qur'an is so pure. It is unsurpassable. It's intangible. It is supreme. It is noble. It is divine. And many a times, one Arabic word has got several meanings. One verse of the Qur'an, it can be understood in various different ways. It will have a different angle for a layman when he reads it. For a scientist, it will have a different angle. So that is the reason, that's the beauty of the Qur'an. So to read in Arabic is the best. But for those people who don't know Arabic, alhamdulillah, there are many shuyukhs, many ulama, many scholars who have translated the Qur'an into major different languages of the world. Most of the major languages of the world, the Qur'an has been translated by different scholars. So if you don't understand Arabic as a language, at least read the Qur'an in the language you understand the best. If you know English, read it in English. If you know French, read it in French. If you know German, read it in German. If you know Urdu, read it in Urdu. Read it in the language you understand the best. But it's a requirement that we should read the Qur'an in the language you understand. So there's no excuse, I don't know Arabic, then read the language you understand. And alhamdulillah, in most of the major languages of the world, you have the Qur'an today that it has been translated. We have the translation of the Qur'an in most of the major languages of the world. There are various other excuses given by Muslims that they're busy in their business, in their work, in studies. That is the reason they can't read the translation of the Quran. Many of us, we go to schools, we go to universities, to colleges, and we spend decades in schools, universities, colleges, and we read and memorize volumes and volumes of books, but we don't have the time to read the Quran. How much time does it take to read the Quran? If you read the translation of the Quran, and if your reading is fast, it will take a few days for you to read the Quran. If you read one juz, one part every day, it will take you 1 month. But unfortunately, we give excuses they don't have the time. Whatever degree you acquire in the school, in the college, it may or may not help you in this world. Many of the people, they're graduates, but they're jobless. And in the hereafter, unless this education does not get you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this knowledge is useless for the akhirah. But the Quran says in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 1 and 2, Alif Lam Mim, Zalikal Kitab la rayba fi. That Alif Lam Mim, this is a book without doubt. It is a guidance for those who have faith. It is surely giving a promise that it's a guidance for you. It will help you in this world as well as the hereafter. So it's a requirement that the Muslims should read the Quran with understanding. If they don't know Arabic, read in the language they understand the best.